Hello everyone and welcome to today's Cloud Journey webinar in collaboration with Microsoft. I am Shalini Budwa, the marketing from MC3, and today's presenter will be Maria Mali, the TCM for Microsoft East Africa, who will talk about the opportunity to partner with Microsoft. We have Robert Rono, our partner technical specialist, who will talk about why the need to adopt cloud. Anish Sidoyal, our ISV and P2P manager, will walk us through MC3 Cloud Platform. We have also Gabriel, our sales director, who will present us the Microsoft Partner Incentives for FY21. Arun Arya, our pre-sales engineer, will guide us on how to accelerate your business with Microsoft Azure. We have also from Microsoft, Patrick Okello, the TCM for Uganda. So before we get started, I would kindly request you to put yourself on mute mode, please. A recorded version of this webinar will be available after the meeting. We'd love to hear from you, so please drop down your question in the comment section below, or please unmute yourself and ask our speakers for any query. For those of you just joining us, welcome to today's webinar. So let's get started. Maria, please.
Hi, Shalini.
Hi.
I'm using you as a test. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you perfectly.
Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is open my camera to say hello to everyone before I turn it off, just to save on the bandwidth because I'm also sharing my screen. So hello to everyone who's on the call. Good afternoon to those from East Africa, Indian Ocean Islands. Good morning to those who may be joining us from West Africa. It's my pleasure to be on presenting to you on this webinar. So I'm going to turn off my camera. And before I start, I would want to ask if anyone is courageous enough to unmute themselves and just share with us what their expectation from this webinar would be. Any of the organizations, individuals that are joining us on the webinar, if someone could unmute themselves and just share with us what's one thing they would want to get out of this session. Anyone?
Our partners are quite shy, I believe. You can drop your experience in the comment section if you want as well.
Is someone speaking? Shalini, what you can do, also monitor for me the chat window in case any questions pop up in the middle of my presentation. Then I can take them up after I'm done with my session.
Sure, Maria, of course.
Okay. Perfect. So let me start again with an introduction of myself, and then I'll run through what our Microsoft Partner Network is and our Cloud Solution Provider Program is. My name is Maria. I'm a Territory Channel Manager for Microsoft, and I cover the East Africa region. And for us, that's Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia. My counterpart, Patrick Okello, is also on the call. He's also a territory channel manager, but he looks after a specific solution area called Azure. Later on in the call, you'll see the differentiation between our offerings. So let me start off. We may have people on the call who are wondering, I mean, if I want to become a Microsoft partner, what do I do? Now, our common goal or our mission or the reason why we are in market is to empower every person and every organization to achieve more. That's the reason for Microsoft existence. So any solutions, any products, any initiatives that we run will be around empowering individuals and organizations to achieve more. And that's why you will see we have a variety of engagements in different markets that we're in, ranging from research to engineering, where we make solutions, to help desk and many other solutions that we have that are geared towards empowering individuals. We even have engagements with our non-profit organizations that you may read and see about in the media, but everything that we do around building our solutions, research, etc., is around empowering every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, coming down to what's relevant for our market is we are in an ecosystem where we have a lot of customers that are looking for organizations to support them. And how we engage in our market is we actively work on partnering with organizations through something we call our Microsoft Partner Network that provides you with resources, programs, and tools to help to train your team, build innovative solutions, differentiate in the market so that we can jointly connect with our customers. So if you're an organization and wondering, okay, I provide solutions to my customers and I'm trying to position myself as an IT solution provider, and how do I go about it with Microsoft, is that we have a website-based program, which is called the Microsoft Partner Network. For some of you that are more familiar with it, you may hear a lot of people saying MPN. Now, that's our site where we provide a consolidated site where we provide our resources, our programs, and our tools that can train your teams. For those of you that want to build solutions, it's a platform that can give you the resources to help you build your solutions. And then you can differentiate in the market depending on where your area of focus is. And with that, then you can connect with our customers. Now, let me start with the Microsoft Partner Network because that's the first point. That's the first place that you stop. Our Microsoft Partner Network is just a site-based network that enables you to, like I mentioned before, unlock tools that can support you in terms of how do you start your journey being able to position Microsoft solutions. So the Microsoft Partner Network is a website. So even if you go on your Bing or Google search or whatever search engine that you use, if you put in Microsoft Partner Network, it will take you to our website that enables you now to get access to our different resources and tools that can help you understand what can I position on a Microsoft perspective. So in our Microsoft Partner Network, we have 3 basic levels. So the first level is what we call a network membership. What a network membership means is that you're able to sign in as your organization. So let's say it's Maria Networks or Maria Communications or Maria company, you will sign in and you will get a unique identifier, which is a number. We call that the Microsoft Partner Network member number, an MPN number. Now, that just gives you access to a community of other organizations that are also Microsoft partner members, and you can get access to resources such as what are the different Microsoft products. We have emails, we have a customer relationship management system, we have the Microsoft Azure platform for developers and organizations that are looking to build solutions on a platform. We have an enterprise resource planning system and many other solutions that Microsoft has. So the first thing is that it'll give you an idea of, okay, so what are the actual Microsoft solutions that I can position in market? It'll give you resources to how do you market your resources if you're a Microsoft partner? What are the trends in the technology world? Or how do you get access to the Gartner reports, etc.? We write white papers, etc. So that network membership is the basic membership. It's like setting up a Facebook account. You get in, you have a unique identifier, you have access to resources to see, look, what's available, etc. And that's a very basic level of membership with Microsoft. The second part is that as you're growing towards your journey, you can get access to what we call a Microsoft Action Pack. So that action pack enables you to subscribe to developer tools to get additional support that a network member would not get access to, training and software. And for that, we charge $475 per annum. And this would ideally be targeted towards an organization that's a developer house, or you also want to utilize the Microsoft software so that you're able to position it to your customers. So we call that second level the Action Pack members. So that will give you slightly more benefits than the network membership would give you. So that would be the second level, and that would be as you're advancing within your Microsoft partner network membership, then that would be the second level, and it would give you access to developer tools. If you're looking to develop solutions for your customers, you want more training, you have technical teams that want access to software and support to be able to develop different solutions for your customer, then that would be ideal for you. The third and the highest level of membership within the Microsoft Partner Network is the competency level. Now, the competency level of Microsoft just means that As an organization, you have taken the time to invest in your sales and technical resources to differentiate yourself from any other partners that are in the Microsoft ecosystem. So this means that if you're a partner who says, I'm focused on a customer relationship management as my solution focus, is that I can demonstrate that I have trained my sales team, I have trained my functional consultants and my technical team, and I can easily sell, not only sell to you the licenses, but I can also deploy and ensure that you use and customize the solution correctly. So the benefit of getting a competency is that one, you'd be able to get after sales incentives from Microsoft, which a network member or Action Pack member would not be able to get. Number two, you would have customers that would say, look, we only want to get to work with a partner that is certified by Microsoft. You'd also be able to get access to services such as go-to-market services from our Microsoft partner network site. And there's many other advantages of having the competencies that you will see from the link below. We'll be sharing with you this documentation, and I've put links for you to be able to reference some of the topics that I'm talking about. On top of that, once you get a competency, you also get what we call internal use rights for Microsoft software. So if you're an organization and you get yourself to a level of a competency, every year when you renew your competency, you get access to different Microsoft solutions that you can use internally. So if you're thinking about our Office 365 suite, you do get access to some of those licenses, and your internal team can actually use them, and that makes it easier for you to be able to position those solutions to your customers. So as a recap, we have three levels. The network membership, which is the basic level of membership. It gives you a unique member ID. You're able to get resources and read up on white papers on our solutions. You can see how to market our different solutions, etc. We have the action pack for developer tools, additional support. You can get training and access to software as well for your own use rights. Then the highest level is the competency, which just differentiates you in terms of showcasing to the market that you're actually a specialist on the specific product you have gotten a competency on. Just to clarify as well, for our competencies, for dependent on the product that you pick, there are only two levels of competency in Microsoft. You're either a silver or gold partner. You can get multiple competencies. You can get 3 silver competencies on different solutions and 1 gold, or you can pick 1 competency depending on your area of focus and just go all the way to gold. Now, so you can be sitting and thinking, okay, I've registered as a Microsoft partner. So what are the examples of some of the solutions that you can sell? So if I think, for example, of most companies will need an email solution as one of the initial things that they would be purchasing, assuming, let's say they're just moving onto the cloud, or it could be a new company. An email solution is something that you could position as an IT technology company. So we have a solution called Microsoft Exchange Online, which is email solution. We have an operating system, which is, I think Microsoft is very famous for. Our current operating system is Windows 10. We have productivity and collaboration suites. Office 365, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Teams are examples of those. We have the cloud platform, like I mentioned before, for building, testing, deploying, and managing applications. That's called Microsoft Azure. We also have a customer relationship management system called Dynamics 365 CRM. We have an enterprise resource planning system, an ERP, called Dynamics 365 ERP. And Microsoft is also a company that makes security solutions. And we have a suite of solutions called the Microsoft Enterprise Mobility Suite. So these are just examples of some of the solutions you can position. So if you don't have to start off on the very, technical enterprise resource planning, but things like email solutions, operating systems, productivity and collaboration suites are things that every other organization needs, independent of the size, whether it's a one user consultancy organization or a large multinational or a large top 100 organization in the region that you cover. So these are examples of some of the things you can think about. Okay, I'm talking to this company. I want to offer them a domain. Microsoft doesn't offer domains, but we have organizations like GoDaddy. Okay, we're going to get you a domain. On top of that, we're going to make sure we get you an email solution to ensure that you can communicate internally and externally. We're going to make sure you have the most current operating system on your personal computer. And on top of that, we have productivity and collaboration suites for your internal users to be able to be more productive and to also collaborate internally and externally. So these are just examples of some of the things as an IT organization or a technology provider you can think about positioning from a Microsoft position. Now, I've put this here as a reference document. We will not speak through this, but I put this here as something you can look at more in depth around how do we actually look at our different solutions. So our key solutions around modern workplace, how do people work in the current space? And if you even think about this year and COVID-19 and people having to work at home and in places that are not, your typical work areas that we used to have before. So we have solutions around our workplace and look at them around teamwork, security, how do we ensure that we have compliance. We have our business applications, which are the CRM and the ERP, and then we have our cloud platform. So this is something that you can reference and then come back to us in terms of, okay, I would want to actually learn more about this specific area. And we usually do work together with organizations like MC3, who have organized this session, to actually take different partners depending on their area of interest and specialization to learn what does this mean from a Microsoft perspective and how do you build a business looking at these specific areas, both from a sales and technical perspective. So we will not go through this, but I leave it there as a guide for you to actually look in depth and see what are the different areas of specialization available for an organization that's looking at seriously focusing on Microsoft solutions as one of their solution offerings. So Shalini, I want to stop there. Do we have any questions on the chat before I move to how do you sell?
No, we don't have any questions for now, Maria, or you may proceed.
All right. So someone might be asking, okay, I have joined the Microsoft partner ecosystem. I have seen from what you presented, these are some of the solutions that you can position. The next logical question would be, okay, so I know I have this kind of customers. This is how I get into the Microsoft ecosystem to be able to sell. These are some of the solutions that you sell. The next question is, how do you sell? So what Microsoft has is that we have a sort of automated platform. And this platform is for our partners. And when I mention partners, I mean organizations such as yourself, who are technology service providers to your customers, who can own, we give you a platform that you can own the end-to-end customer engagement with your customer, which ensures that you're able to select different solutions that you would want to offer to them. You can provision it directly to them. You can bill them, whether you want to do it monthly, quarterly, half yearly, annually, 3 year. I mean, depending on the relationship you have with the customer and the nature of your customer, we're giving you a platform to be able to do all that and easily do that and manage your relationship with your customer with very little interference from Microsoft. Keeping in mind very well that you could be positioning Microsoft alongside other vendor solutions and most importantly, your own consultancy services, which is where you would be most profitable. So the platform just enables you to say, look, I want to get this solution from Microsoft. I want to add on my services. And I want to prepare one bill for my customer. I can automate how I provision the licensing, when the recurring subscription is running, when it's due, and you can monitor and actually get reports that can enable you to plan and manage your customer journey towards the cloud or as they grow within their cloud consumption. Now, what does our platform enable you to do? So the platform enables you to set your price. So you will get a price from one of our cloud solution providers, such as MC3. They will give you a price that you determine how much margin do you want to put, how often do you want to bill it, do you want to bill it quarterly, monthly, annually, completely set the terms. Do you want it to be for the customers to pay on prepayment? Do you want to automate it on your website and say the customer can come and click on my website and say they purchase the licenses without any interaction with my team, or however you want to do it based on your business model? Again, you can directly provision and manage the subscription for your customers, and you will always be the first point of contact for your customer support because our platform is ideally created for you to completely own the customer journey and the customer engagement with your customer. So you can create your cloud subscription. For example, if it's Office 365 or Windows 10, you can create a subscription and say, my customer is a 5-user company. I need a Windows 10 license for them. You create the subscription, you put in their domain name, you say, this is the price that you're going to put for them. You're going to put in maybe your fees for the deployment. You can say, we're going to do training. You add that as one of the offers that you give to them. And you could say, we also have a help desk ticketing system that we bill for them, that they pay every user X amount of money per month or per quarter or per year. And you're able to place the order and send them an invoice and a bill for which they pay for all those services and products that you've given to them, but they pay to your organization and they deal with you directly. And for that, you can offer the single package solution, like I mentioned before. You put everything together and just offer your solution as a technology solution provider. I'm giving you a solution to be able to ensure that you can communicate and collaborate, and what that entails. It has this product, it has this service from my organization, it has this other, it has training, etc. So that's what our platform enables you to do, to be able to just pick your services alongside our solutions and offer them to your customers easily. So how do you sell through this CSP? So there's Microsoft and we have a customer. In Microsoft, we do not sell directly to the customer. We want to build an ecosystem of technology companies that can understand the different requirements of customers and the markets that they operate in and determine the kind of solutions that would work for their market. So Microsoft has signed an agreement with what we call indirect providers. In our call today, MC3 is an indirect provider that is nominated and has a contract with Microsoft to support you, who is our indirect reseller or our partner, to sell to the customer. Now, MC3 will be able to provide to you support and billing. They'll give you the platform that I was talking about. They've built a platform to ensure that you have access to all these Microsoft solutions and services. They will support you by doing training. An example of a training is what they're doing right now, is that they've created a training for you to understand what's the offer from Microsoft, how can you position yourself in market, and what are the different solutions from Microsoft, and also the services that are offered by MC3 that you can utilize to be able to offer solutions to your customer. They also give you credit terms for which you can manage as you're getting your solutions from Microsoft, and also managing your credit with your customer. They'll also enable you to ramp up quickly by learning how do you sign up on the Microsoft Partner Network, how do you place an order, how can you sell, what's the right way you can structure your team, any support on explanations of products and all that kind of stuff they can help you with. So this enables you then to just focus on how do you build solutions for your customer. And that's the reason why we're working with indirect providers, to enable you to focus on what's important, and it's on building your capability to offer the right kind of solutions to your customers. And that means that you can always evolve in terms of the solutions you're offering, the kind of services that you have, and that means that you can continue to focus on what's important, selling more and more and increasing your profitability. So this is how our model will work. Microsoft works with MC3, and MC3 will work with you to provide you with all the things that I mentioned before, and you can focus on what's important, and that's getting the right solutions to your customer. I've also added in here some of the links that you can use to get some trainings, which some are videos, some are on demand that you can just access and learn about our different products. How do you build a cloud business? What kind of offerings from Microsoft work for which of your customers? And you can use some of these links to just understand what are the different offerings from Microsoft and how do you position yourself in market. So you will notice that most of this will have links that will send you back to our Microsoft Partner Network, but it will direct you to specific things such as our training center. Here you will find details around the different competencies, and now you can look at it based on where you want to focus on. What would be a good competency for you to start working towards in the medium and long term? So I want to stop there and see if there are any questions and feedback, and then let the next person take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Actually, we have one question from Dario. Does Microsoft offer any support to indirect resellers?
Yes, so we do offer, so through our Microsoft Partner Network, you will see, you will have a sort of portal called the Microsoft Partner Center. So there you will see there's support on different things. There's proactive support in terms of helping you building plans, like, go to market plans, how do you build a business? There's even pre-sales and technical deployment that is available to all partners independent of what status you have. So there's different options, but all of them, we congregate all that support through our Microsoft Partner Network and through your Partner Center page, which you will get access to once you sign up. On top of that, as I mentioned earlier in the call, I'm available in market. I'm a territory channel manager, and I principally work with the distributor such as MC3 and partners such as yourself. So if you have a specific customer you're trying to work with and you need support with, then you can reach out to us directly. There's me who works on Modern Workplace. There's my counterpart Patrick Okello who works on our Azure solutions, and there's another lady called Sima who works on our business applications. So on top of the support that you get, the proactive and reactive support you can get online, there's also a team that's based in region that can actually support you.
Thanks, Maria. We have another question. So what's the difference between a CSP and an LSP?
Okay, so a CSP is a cloud solution provider that is able to offer our cloud solution, our cloud licensing and services to any of our customers. The LSP model is specific to, we have a licensing type called an enterprise agreement, which is an agreement that we've always had from the 90s. And we have specific, it's sort of like think about it like a wholesale agreement where a contract is signed between Microsoft and the customer, and we have select partners that help us to administrate those contracts. So we do have a few partners that are elected in every territory to help us with the administration of those contracts. So because we have transitioned that contracting model, now we no longer sign agreements with Microsoft. We still have existing agreements that we still need to manage. So we do have appointed partners that are still helping us manage those contracts until either those customers move to a CSP licensing type of model, or some of them, because they're government and they want to single source from Microsoft, they may still, under unique circumstances, maintain the agreement with Microsoft. But just to mention as well, most of the LSPs you will see will transact on CSP as well. That if the customer is not a large customer that already had an enterprise direct agreement with Microsoft, all of their other customers, they will also utilize the cloud solution provider CSP model to license the rest of their customers. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. So our next presenter will be Robert. I'll let Robert share his deck.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Robert.
I hope you can hear me loud and clear. So in case of just any, alteration in my voice, kindly, from the comment section, let me get your feedback. So I'm actually sharing my slide. Shalini? Okay, thank you. So I was just waiting for the presenter. So I'm actually loading my PowerPoint presentation. Just let me know when you've seen it from your side.
Yeah, we can see your screen, Robert. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So let me just start by, saying, thank you so much, for the attendees on this call. Thank you for taking your time to actually come and, listen to us and, get to know what you can probably position in the market in terms of, Microsoft Cloud. I think first of all, before anything, what is this cloud? So I'm not actually here, pretending that, everyone on the call probably knows what cloud is. Shalini, let me know in case, you know, as there's somebody who probably doesn't know what cloud is. Does anybody know what cloud is?
Hi, Robert. Hello.
Hi, boss.
Hey, Robert. Maybe you could start by introducing yourself first.
Oh, sorry, Dario.
Yes.
Okay, apologies. So my name is Robert Rono, based in East Africa. I'm a Microsoft Cloud consultant working with MC3. And I've been in this for almost the past 4 years in total accumulation of the years that I've actually worked on the cloud. So in case you want to know anything else, Dario, and I think we've worked together as well while I was at Microsoft. I don't know if you can
during the CCG days.
Yes, boss, during CCG days.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So I think let me just move straight to the presentation. In case anybody doesn't know what cloud computing is, but as I said, I will just deep dive in to pick the definition. So from the Microsoft Bing, you know, what is cloud? Cloud, you know, is the practice of using a network of remote servers which are hosted on the internet, you know, just to store, to manage, and, you know, process your data. This is actually done, you know, rather than having your local server or, you know, a personal computer, you know, in that case scenario. There are many definitions out there, and I think one way or the other, no one is wrong. There's some right aspects of each and every definition. And if you want to move further, you know, to now deliver, you know, the all definition of what cloud computing is, you can actually simply put that, you know, cloud computing, you know, is the delivery of, you know, computing services, which includes, you know, the servers, you know, the storage, name the database, networking, you know, analytics, intelligence, which all this, you know, quote unquote, are done over the internet. This is done to actually offer the, you know, fast innovation, flexible resources, and, you know, economies of scale. So you typically pay only for cloud services you use, which in turn, you know, help you lower your operating cost in the long run, run your infrastructure more efficiently, and scale your business, you know, when needs change. So that is a broad definition of, you know, what cloud computing really is. And moving forward, you know, from that is cloud has actually been divided into, you know, different segments. And we've heard of public cloud. I think this is actually one of the cloud that has really gained a lot of, you know, traction. We have a private cloud as well as, you know, the hybrid cloud. So what is the difference between all these three types of cloud? You know, if I can actually kind of squeeze them up and, you know, define them in a way that you can easily grasp it, I would say public cloud would be, you know, owned and operated by a third party, you know, cloud provider. So in this case scenario, I would pick, you know, Microsoft Azure as an example of a public cloud. So with the public cloud, so all the hardware, the software, you know, as well as is the infrastructure, is owned and managed by a cloud provider. So you don't own them, you just rent them, you know. So you access these services and, you know, manage your account using a web browser in this case scenario. And a private cloud would be, you know, referring to cloud computing resources which are exclusively, you know, owned by a single business or an organization in this case. So a private cloud can be physically located on the company's data center, that server room, or some companies, you know, may prefer that, you know, a third service provider to host their private cloud. So the big difference actually when it comes to private cloud and you can say public cloud is the services and infrastructure in the private cloud are maintained, you know, on a private network. So that is probably one of the biggest differences. When it comes to hybrid cloud is a mixture of both, you know, private and, you know, public cloud. They are bound together, you know, by technology that allows, you know, data and application to be shared between them. So by allowing data and apps move between private and, you know, public clouds, hybrid cloud gives you your business greater flexibility, more deployment options, as well as optimization of existing infrastructure, as well as security and compliance. So I hope that is very clear. In case you have any doubts in that, feel free to put something on the comment section. As well, you can interrupt me at any point in time if you need more clarity. So trying to now further define, the types of cloud services. You probably heard of infrastructure as a service. You probably heard of platform as a service, as well as software as a service. So what are these infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, as well as software as a service? So in a nutshell, IaaS, or infrastructure as a service, is just the cloud computing services. You rent the IT infrastructure, the servers and the virtual machines, the storage, the networks, the OS from a cloud provider. And this is normally, done on pay-as-you-go basis. So you pay for what you consume as you go along. Platform as a service just refers to, cloud computing services that supply an on-demand environment for developing things like testing, delivering, and managing software applications. So software, platform as a service, in many cases is actually designed for developers who quickly create, mobile apps without actually worrying about, setting up or managing underlying infrastructure like the servers, storage and network, or databases, for development. The last one would be software as a service, and I think this is, which most of you can relate, when you pick on, products like Office 365, which is probably commonly known by most of you. So software as a service is you can actually deliver software apps through the internet on demand, or typically in the very well known way, which is on subscription service. So with software as a service, the cloud providers, in this case Microsoft, they host and manage the software applications and the all underlying infrastructure. So they maintain it, they do the upgrades, they do the security patching, and all those other stuff. You is just to connect to the application.
Sorry, Robert.
Yes.
Can I interrupt you for a second? What
yes.
slide are you currently showing?
Still the what is cloud computing.
Oh, okay. No, I thought there was another slide that we were supposed to be seeing.
No. I'm still on the first slide. Okay. So I think that stops there in terms of cloud computing definition. And unless anything is not very clear, please let me know. So I'm on my second slide, Dario. I think you can be checking on me. I like that.
Yeah, got it.
So we are on a simple definition. I think I broke this down for anybody who probably might not understand, all the terminologies that come up, when you probably look for the word, what is cloud computing? So in a very simple way, I think this is more relatable to what we do day to day, or probably the services that we have been actually getting from, all these past centuries. So I've actually given a metaphor or an analogy with electricity. So what you can relate, with electricity, like I'm sure, or probably most of you have access to electricity in this case. So for example, electricity, this is what you pay as you go. So you pay every month, or probably after a period of time. I think for us in Kenya, we have the new dispensation, which is you can actually use tokens. So when you actually complete your tokens, you pay for more tokens. So pay-as-you-go pricing model relates more to the cloud as well. If you look at other things like availability, so we have cloud power available in most cases. I think to probably most parts of the country, and you can access it everywhere. as well as, in terms of the cost that you actually, get to enjoy, is that you don't have to put up, an electric grid like from the ground up. You just consume what has already been, put up. It's just same as your house. So I usually use a house typically in the easiest form is you pay if you're living in a rental house. So I'm taking an assumption that, most or if some of us are living in a rental apartment or, something like that. So you pay every month for your rent. You don't have to like put up the whole building, by yourself and, get to live there. So you can rent out an apartment, and after, a period of time, you pay as you go. So this is kind of more relatable in a way to what cloud is. So you don't get to own it. You just, pay for the services that you consume. So I'm going to move to my next slide, which is, I think this is how now things are shifting in terms of, the world that we are living right now. So you would find that, in most cases that, we've shifted actually from, making things on our own by ourselves in our offices to actually collaborating with our teammates and customers virtually in real time on any device, from, different locations. Like the case right now, what we're doing, the world right now is the world of working, at one desktop, one office, from 8 to 5 is actually changing. My case, for example, is, I have my finance is actually in Mauritius. I'm seated here, in a different city, in a different country. And, we have all these people all over the world scattered, but we are able to actually collaborate together. So they could be working, from tablets, they could be using their phones, they could be in the doctor's office or a coffee shop, or probably in the car, after, let's say, dropping the kids, off at school. So this is not, within your organization or our organization. It's, it's the way your customers and partners are working too. So more importantly, your competitors as well are working, the same way. If you're not in the cloud, the divide continues to grow between you and your competitors. They are moving to the cloud, and you probably don't want to be left behind in this. So you'll want to be using what your customers and your partners are using, to stay in the game. So gone are the days that, we had to stick to what was working. It's a new normal right now. And especially during these, COVID times, it's actually kind of a pointer that this is the right way to move. So what you see on the screens are probably statistics of that have been taken, by, I think, one of the well-renowned researchers. If you've heard of Gartner. So what it implies is this: 50% of businesses, email users will primarily, rely on tablet or other mobile devices by probably 2020. And I think we're at that point right now. And this is improving. I think we're about 60% right now. And 3.5 million, SMEs or SMBs are using instant collaborations and applications using web conferencing and much more. So I think it's a very high time, if you're not in the cloud, to actually move to the cloud. So the clock is ticking. So you either adopt, or in a bad word, I would say you die. So is there any question, to that point?
We don't have any questions for now.
Okay, fine. So I'm actually summarizing. So why move to the cloud? So this is kind of now a pointer section whereby you can actually see all the advantages that the cloud can give you, vis-a-vis on-prem technology. So I will run very fast through this because I think they are quite, explanatory in terms of cost effectiveness. So I've actually picked this one as the #1, bullet point. And the reason why is that, for most of, partners in this part of, I would say, East Africa, is the first thing they look at, before anything else, is the price. Is it favorable compared to on-prem? I think this should not be the question that we should be posing, at the start, but I think we should be looking, deeply. What are the kind of services, that, this provides? What is the flexibility that it comes with? I know pricing matters, and I think we will prove that in the next slide, whereby, why would you, even with the pricing difference, stick to the cloud and not continue with on-prem? So in terms of cost effectiveness, and I think I've said this a couple of times, is that, you pay as you go or consume based pricing model. So this is purely on a consumption based, and you will find that you don't have to be buying upfront infrastructure in this case. So you don't have to be laying down the servers. You don't need to be purchasing the costly other resources, like for example professional advice, from people who are probably, done these certifications and all that. And as well, let me just move to my slide. So I hope we can see the slide here. So this is an example, a typical example in terms of cost, as well as the services from a cloud point of view, as well as an on-prem point of view. So this is the start point for most of the partners. And I think M365 Business Basic would be your door to actually get to enjoy what the cloud has to offer. So I've actually given a very, very basic comparison, which is M365 Basic on the cloud side, as well as the on-prem solutions. And you can see from the bullet points, I mean, even in terms of pricing, monthly, you can pick it on M365 Basic, you pay around $5. This is per month per user, and you can as well do this per year per user. If you look at the on-prem solution in terms of features that it presents to you, it's a big world difference from what M365 Basic can give you. Like for example, on-prem you cannot get Office Online for free. I think with M365 Basic you can actually access that. Apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, all these are given to you free of charge online. You don't get to have a Yammer for collaboration, with the on-prem solution. And plus on-prem solution, which I think is a big disappointment, is when it comes to, buying all this Skype for Business server, the cars, all this in terms of capital expenditure is skyrocketing. So if you compare to, what you get from M365 Basics, it's quite a broad daylight that, it's so easy that you can actually get your client, to subscribe. So in my next slide, I'll actually show you the reasons why you would stick, even though it's a subscription for M365 Basic, instead of actually having your clients still, sticking to the on-premise solution. So my next slide, I've actually picked again another product, which is it's a low-hanging fruit. It's your entry, point to selling Microsoft services, and this is Exchange Online. No doubt, whatsoever that Microsoft Exchange has been the best messaging service and preferred choice all over the world. But right now, I think it's a high time that, we get to ask ourselves, some questions in this. So like, for example, in this case scenario whereby the world is changing and you can be working from anywhere, is it possible for users to work from, any machine or any device at any time if I'm using Exchange on premise? What will happen in the case that, my email server will suffer from downtime? Is it possible to do things like, sync my calendar, my contacts, and my email? All these kind of questions, when you compare, when you're using Exchange Online vis-a-vis Exchange On-Prem, you will actually find out that, in the case of Exchange Online, in terms of uptime, you probably guaranteed 99.99% on availability. I don't think you can get the same, when you speak about Exchange On-Prem, because with Exchange On-Prem, you probably can't have, things like support for Microsoft 24/7 in case of anything. In case anything happens to your server on-prem, you will, in most cases, find that you get outages. Accessibility. With Exchange Online, I think this is where you actually work from anywhere. You can access it from any part of the world. But if you're using your Exchange on-premise, outages can actually, hamper the way you work. So, and again, in terms of investment, I don't have to have an Exchange server when I'm using my Exchange Online. I rent all these services from Microsoft. With your Exchange on-prem, I think we saw on the earlier slide that you have to have some cards as well as some hardware, which add up the cost. And security as well. I think as we speak, one of the biggest challenges that we are facing is security. And if you look at Microsoft side of view, whereby professionals actually deliver this to you instead of on your side managing all this, adding up the cost in terms of security, it will be, in a way cheaper on the long run to actually invest on Microsoft Exchange Online rather than on-prem. So the last slide here is just a comparison, between I picked 40 seats of Business Essentials. So now we call it Microsoft 365 Basic. So you probably, for some of you, might relate this to Business Essential because if you've been used to it. Right now, I think Microsoft changed the naming and it's Business Basic. So I've actually picked 40 seats. And if you see the monthly expense of 40 seats of Microsoft Business Essentials, it comes to roughly $200. And if you look at the annual, it will be $2,400. Now compare it to, let's say, for example, you were doing the on-prem, in this case, let's say Exchange on-prem. So if you look at the capital expenditure that you're probably going to use is, we're looking at $15,000 on this. So if you break it down, to the cars, the backups, the hardware, the software, I haven't even included, support, things like that, which, might actually come along the way, which you have to incur, at the end of it. If you look at the total cost over time, and I think this is one of the biggest worries when it comes to end users, which some of them I've actually interacted with, is that, why don't I just buy something once and for all? They usually say that, if I buy Exchange server as well as Exchange, software, then I'm done. I will never, again, get to buy anything else rather than, do subscription. So if you look at the cost over time, over 6.5 years crossover point is when the cost of, Business Basic crosses over the $15,000, of Exchange on-prem. This is 6 years. And you know what happens? I usually tell, most partners is this. Microsoft, for example, let me just pick on, Word, the Office applications. Every 3 years, Microsoft releases, new Office. Every one, 2016, 2019, they'll do another one. 2021, they'll probably do another one. So in that case, what happens when, let's say, if you still have a 2016 version of, Office applications, things like security, because Microsoft at the end of it, you might have a discontinued support in terms of, patching and all that. But with Office 365, in this case, is you will always, be the most up to date in terms of, your software. So at no point in time that you'll be dealing with, issues such as patching it up, as well as, running updates and all that. So this is done by the cloud provider. And in this case, Microsoft does it. Let me just return to this slide. So scalability. So let me just talk about scalability a bit. So what is scalability? Oh, this is something, that can, be done either manually or automatically, based on, let's say, the way you set up your CPU in terms of utilization, in terms of request. I usually give an example when it comes to SportPesa. I don't know if you've probably heard of, this betting site, or probably you probably have some in your country. So I'm gonna use, in this case scenario, for us, we had SportPesa. So SportPesa was a betting site. So at times, let's say over the weekend when the games are being played, let's say you're an Arsenal fan or a Manchester fan, and maybe Arsenal is playing against Manchester, there are odds which are put there. And these are the teams that have a lot of fans, all over the world. And you will find most people doing, this betting. And sometimes, let's say, for example, if you have an on-prem server which is handling this request, the server tends to get overwhelmed in cases that it crashes. So if you really want to, let's say, for example, run something like that, and let's say you use Azure and you do allocation automatically, that, in case of many requests, you can scale up. In case of, low requests, you can scale down. So this is done automatically, or you can do it manually. So with cloud, you can actually achieve this, in just a press of a button. But if you're looking at on-prem, I think you'll have, things like, crashing and all that kind of stuff, which again will translate to your profit loss in that case. Elasticity. So if you're running, an application, you can have the cloud automatically add resources at the peak hours. I think this more relate to scalability as well. But when the spikes up, let's say on your website is being featured, let's say on a news article, the traffic overnight will actually go up. So since the cloud is elastic, it automatically allocate, more computing resources to handle, that traffic. Current, and I think I've spoken about being current, is that you will always, have the most up-to-date software. The computer hardware is maintained, it's upgraded by the cloud provider. Let's say, for example, if a disk fails, the disk will be replaced by the cloud provider. If a new hardware update becomes available, you don't have to go through, the process of replacing your hardware. The cloud provider will ensure that, the hardware updates are made available to you automatically. So this is actually will enable you to kind of, focus on what matters the most, which is building and probably deploying applications. So cloud eliminates, the burden of maintaining the software patches, the hardware setups, the upgrade, and other management, IT management stuff. So this all will be done automatically to ensure you're using the latest and greatest, tools to run your business. Reliability. I don't think, from my own experience, that there is anything more reliable than the cloud at this point in time. So when you're running a business, you want to be confident, in most cases that, my data is always going to be there. So with the cloud computing, offerings, such as data backup, disaster recovery, as well as data replications, to make sure you always, on the safe side. So in addition to, let's say, redundancy, redundancy is actually built in the cloud services architecture. So if one component, let's say, fails, a backup component, takes over automatically with no downtime. This is actually referred to as fault tolerance, which ensures that your customers aren't impacted when any disaster occurs. So if you compare this to your on-prem, I think you will not be, to respond that fast. You will be probably getting a lot of calls left and right, that our server is down, blah, blah, blah. You probably understand all those, customers' issues. So in terms of global, it's everywhere. I think our Microsoft data centers are distributed, in various regions all over the globe. And I think we have right now one down in South Africa. And this is actually gives us a local presence to your customers to give actually the best response time possible, no matter where the world, they are.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Robert. So I guess you can proceed. If anyone has questions. So no questions for now. Anish, I'll let you present your screen.
Yeah, can you guys see my screen's loading?
Yes, Anish, you can see.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Let me just thank you, Robert, for your clear explanation on cloud computing. I think it was very clear, and the message was captured. And I believe that since we have no questions, everyone is quite sure about why to move to the cloud. So let me present myself. Anish Daya, been here for the last 3 years in MC3. I was previously the VDM for Mauritius and Kenya, now moving to a new role as a partner development manager for partners, customers, and also the ISV leads. On this topic, I will go directly. Today, Roberto was talking about the cloud, why to the cloud. So now we are going to take, okay, hey guys, how are we going to make the most of it? How are we going to buy? Okay, and through that, MC3 has we have our own platform. We have our own platform, like an e-commerce platform, I would say, where partners can buy directly from the platform. And the good thing is that it's so easy, only a few clicks. But before that, there's few stuff that we need to know about being a cloud, about being an indirect reseller. Okay, so not to lose too much time, I will go forward. Again, we were the winner for Partner of the Year of 2020. Well, 2020, 2019, 2018, 19, and 2020. That makes us a hat-trick hero on that. I guess some of you already know about the CSP. Maria briefed about CSP. But the good thing about CSP. So let's just briefly talk about, what was open license. Advisor would be the enterprise agreement stuffs that we have before, and CSP. With open license, it was like big headaches. Partners would send their PO, distributors would process their order, they would get license after 48 hours. They need to retrieve a license on VLSC, so it was quite hard to retrieve a license. It was quite delayed. It was not flexible to bring the license or increase in terms of license. We had to wait anniversary days as well. So on CSP, direct, flexible, cheaper as well, which is good. Automated renewal notifications, flexible. You get the license within minutes because we have our own good storefront. You can bundle your service and bring us help desk support as well. Oh, I'll just give you a small brief about this one. Feeding to the mic here. Can you listen? No?
Anish, there's no sound.
There's no sound?
No, I can't hear any sound.
Give me 1 sec.
Anna should just narrate.
Wait. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Dario, you should come here, to help me in that. Well, let me see if it's working now. Wow. Yeah. No, it's all right. Anyway, let me skip that until we find Aaron, who's going to try something else later on. So how it works, briefly, Microsoft, we get the pricing from Microsoft as a CSP tier 2, the indirect provider. We push these products to our marketplace, but I'm going to present you in few seconds, a few minutes, I would say. You are the partner, you place the order through the marketplace, and the customer will get the license within seconds or minutes with the invoice as well. let's have a look about how are you going. Before that, we need to understand to make sure that you respect. You have the MPN, as Maria was saying before. We will guide you to become an MPN if you guys are not yet an MPN provider or you don't have your MPN. We will also guide you how all the steps how to become an indirect reseller. But before that, let's say, as an CSP advisor, how it works. Microsoft Partner Center and MC3 Partner Center is already linked by a bridge. Right. Your company, we send you a link to your company, which you need to send to your customer. He signs as his global admin on his Office 365 portal. The customer will acknowledge the signature and he will be able to buy it. But this was the way as a CSP advisor and direct reseller. So advisor, you don't have incentive, you don't manage the perk for your customers. It's quite useless. So this is why we need, one, to be MPN, two, to be an indirect reseller from Microsoft, and also talk about being a silver or having a silver partnership with Microsoft. I believe this topic will be covered a bit with Gabriel later on during his presentation. But just now, I just want you to see how things are working, the right and correct thing. You, Microsoft and MC3, again, have the same bridge. By the way, guys, if you have any question, please let me know, flag me or text or let Charlene know about it. This is your company. We send a unique link because in this unique link, it is you who is going to manage your customer. Customer will again sign as a global admin on his Office 365 tenant. The customer will see now that Mr. Reseller is his reseller and MC3 is his distributor. And of course, you will be managing all their 365 tenant or even Azure or anything that they are buying. The good thing as well is that you also can buy software subscription, perpetual or non-perpetual on the cloud, on CSP platform now. So before I jump to our portal, it's quite 6 points that we need to bring. We connect to the CSP portal. You place your order, you add your customer, you validate we bring the validation, automatic validation, invoicing, and configure your tenant. So here we are. This is the storefront of MC3, wkcsp.mc3.cloud. We invite you to register now. That would be really nice, so that you can have as you can see, you have a nice button of register. Next to it, you have all first name and all your details. And from that, you will get an automated reply from our system saying that, hey, Mr. Reseller, that you are now part of the MC3 team, MC3 partners. You will have login details directly to your mail, but you need to change, of course, for privacy. And once you log in, you will be able to access. But of course, anyone who don't sign on the storefront, they don't see any price, which is good because at the end of the day, the website is public, anyone can just log in. Only partners can see the pricing. So once you log in, you can see the pricing. And now let's say we need to add a product. We say, okay, fine, we're going to have one product for Microsoft 365 inside the group of Microsoft 365. People would understand that Microsoft Business 365 Business is other products only for business application. And we're going to choose, for example, here, business standard As you can see on the slide, I'm going to purchase one Microsoft Business Standard, which costs $10 per month. I can say, okay, fine, I want to add it to my basket. Or maybe I can just choose which product I need to choose, whichever I need, by using the blue arrow, which you can see on my slide. From there, on step 3, you can now choose whether it's going to be a monthly or it's going to be an annual order, and choose the quantity, whether one or whatever it depends. But remember, business product has a limitation of 300. So for enterprise products, you can purchase 300 or above, or 0 to unlimited number of licenses. But business products is limited to 300 in terms of quantity. The good thing about our storefront is that the add-ons are embedded within the product, so you can choose which add-on you want. It's like you're buying a KFC and saying, oh, maybe I just want to add some cheese, some tomatoes on top of it. So you can just add the quantities here and proceed to checkout. Next, if I'm going to for Shalini before the slides, you just let me know. The next, yeah?
Yeah, it's okay, Anish. Okay. You may proceed.
So on step 4, you can order for a new customer. But of course, you just need to click on it is for reselling. You click whether it is for an existing customer. But since you can be a new customer, you can have a customer who you have purchased with other disties or other resellers. But we should know that this platform is independent to Partner Center. It's our own platform. So
Anish?
Even, yes?
Sorry, Anish, is there any possibility or plans that one day you might be able to link the customers from Partner Center to your portal?
Customers to Partner Center directly to my portal, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, right now we are just linking the customers directly, actually, if you know that.
Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not like what I'm saying is it would be nice if one day you can be able to see the partners that you have in Partner Center on your platform.
Okay.
Because what happened to me recently is I had a little bit of an issue because I had a partner who created a new tenant, but when I ordered, the licenses went to the old tenant.
Okay.
You know, so I'm just thinking it would be nice if one day it could all be linked so that we see our CSP customers here as well.
Yeah, that would be nice. But then I asked that to my developer, which is called Interworks, by the way. They are based in Greece. But it's not even a question about the development. It's a question about the API between Microsoft Partner Center and providers. So unless Microsoft doesn't release these APIs, we won't be able to get these. And I think they are working on it.
Okay, if they're working on it, then it's good. At least they're working on it.
Yeah. So yeah, so I know it's quite. Sometimes you just add the customer on, it's already delegated, but then you don't see it in the existing list. This is what maybe was quite, well, this is quite, not worrying, but sometimes it's like, I would say, it takes time just to create a new customer, to validate.
Yeah, and then you have the second step where you have to like enter the domain and things like that. So if it was linked, we wouldn't have to do all that. You just choose your customer and assign the licenses.
Exactly. But then, of course, once you do it, it's always going to be there. For now, unless Microsoft resolve the API issue that they are having. So all the customers, it can be new. So all the customers, for first time you're purchasing with MC3, you need to bring on as a new customer to put all the details as mentioned here, all including the postal code, the country address, even the phone numbers as well is quite mandatory, unless it's not going to be approved, as you'll have some error message at the back. But once you do it, and if you want to order for the same customer, you can just choose from your existing customer from the list, drop-down list that you will have from here on top of it. So as you just said, Dario, after that we will have a billing address, not to make sure the billing address is you are going to be billed. It's not the customer. We're not going to bill your customer. We're going to bill you. So of course you're going to put your billing address, your city, your country, of course your postal code, which is depending on your country, and your phone number. The next thing is about your end customer. I put 1, 2, 3 steps here. I hope that my screen is quite readable. First one, you need to put the domain name. Let's say I'm going to buy for someone, as my previous slide said, for Tusker. As you know, I like beers. Tusker is one of the best beers in Kenya till now. So let's say I have bought one license, Microsoft 365 Business Standard for Tusker. Tusker is a new customer. We are going to bring Tusker Kenya as a domain prefix. Of course, Microsoft will validate if a domain exists or not. If it doesn't, then you will need to put another domain for it to validate. The reseller MPN ID is your MPN ID, what you will need to create, or what you already have. After that, if everything goes well, you can check out and it will validate. But in case that the customer is already using Office 365 service, you can just click on my customer is already using Office 365, and you can validate from there. You put, for example, if Tusker Kenya was already existing, you put Tusker Kenya.onmicrosoft.com, the system will validate with Microsoft saying, hey, is Tusker Kenya available in your system? And when Microsoft going to say yes, then it will be provisioned. Else, it will have a
Anesh?
Yes?
Does this mean if the customer doesn't have Office 365, you can actually set it up here?
Yeah. Yeah.
In these 3 steps without going on the Microsoft Office.com or whatever and registering?
Yeah. This is
okay. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. So Tusker Kenya, for example, is just a new customer, and this is why I put it as I just did this scenario in the morning, and Tusker Kenya had no tenant, had nothing, had no tenant. So we just created this new tenant, Tusker Kenya. We put our reseller MPN ID. It will validate if the domain is going to exist. Once done, you will need to sign the MCA Microsoft Cloud Agreement, which is a must. Here I put Robert Rono name. Of course, you will need to put the customer name of the company, of your end customer, and click next. After you check out, you're done. Basically, you're done. On number 3 here, the invoice, what you can see, has been generated. When you click on the invoice, 129.69 is your transaction number, where you can print your invoice or save as a PDF. So basically, it's quite easy. 6 steps, quite done easily. Okay? And of course, since Tusker Kenya is a new customer, you will have a username and a password on your mail directly as a reseller, not the customer, because we don't talk to the customer. You will be the one having all the admin privilege, username and password, but you can share to your customer. And of course, you can go on the Office 365 and configure the tenant and provision the license as required. So the other thing, before I stop going on this, I say, okay, fine. If my customer, for example, if this customer, the same Tusker, wants to buy one more license, we don't need to go for all these steps. We just go to billing. We click on active subscription as it is shown on number 1. And on number 2, it will bring you to the active subscription, say, okay, Tusker Kenya has purchased 1 license of business standard. We can add 1 more license. So no matter which date you are going to buy it, the bill is going to be prorated. I'm going to talk about it in the next slide, how the prorated fee is going to appear, how it's going to be calculated. So let's understand quite how the billing was working for Office 365 in open license. Let's say we purchase something in 10 business premium. Well, you can see that 10 business premium is now 10 M365 business 10 dot, right? Purchased on 26th of September 2018, and the anniversary, of course, becomes 1 year after, 25th September 2019. And let's say I'm going to buy 5 licenses in March 2019, adding, on top of the 10, I'm adding 5. What happens before? Microsoft, with their own algorithm, they create a new anniversary date, which can be 20 December or any date, where it will just give you another invoice for 15 license for renewal afterwards. So which means you don't have any control on your anniversary date. You don't know when the customer is going to buy. And as a salesperson, you can't even forecast what you're going to project for your sales pipeline, things like that. And the good thing about CSP, it's quite more flexible, and it's more, you can calculate the anniversary date. So let's take, for example, on CSP. Purchase the same 10 business premium, costs, let's say, 10 times 12 for 1 year, around $1,444. I'm going to add 5 licenses in 25th of March. So what happens? The system calculates it on a prorated rate until the anniversary date. Anniversary date still remains the same. It's not going to move. The billing is going to be calculated as this. Of course, you're not going to calculate all this by yourself. The system is going to calculate back to you. So in between, if you, for a same subscription, you're going to add a license on the same subscription, the bill will be prorated until the anniversary date. It can be an annual order, it can be also a monthly order. The billing will be calculated depending on its anniversary. And of course, there will be the cycle fee on the anniversary. It will be 15 license, which will start again on the 25th of September. So that's it. Register now. You have your wekacsp.mc3.cloud and a team to support you in case you have any difficulties to register or any technical steps. Thank you. Merci. Asante for Kenya Partners. Any question?
Thank you, Anish. Now that you have walked us through our CSP platform, I'm sure everyone is wondering, so what are the Microsoft incentives that we will get from us? So Gabriel will walk us through the incentives for FY21.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabriel. I hope you can see my slide now.
Yes, Gabriel, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah, so thanks to everyone for attending this webinar. Following what the previous speakers have shared, I believe what's much important for you now is to see once that you already get your MPN, you know the products, you register on the MC3 Cloud platform. What is this CSP business can bring to you as a partner? And of course, there's a lot that you can earn as a partner. And this is just a summary of some of the incentives that will be available starting 2 weeks from now. But before we jump in, you know, you should be informed that there are some eligibility that you need to attain before getting those incentives. There are 3 of them. Maria went through one that was MPN competency. The first one, of course, is the enrollment status. You need to have the an active MPN. It's free. Just go to partner.microsoft.com and then create one. Generally available in less than 24 hours. And then the MPN competency, we see the list of competencies that are available for this fiscal year. Afterwards, once you start selling, you get an invite to log in to onboard to the partner center. So you need also to have completed your Microsoft Indirect Reseller status by the time, and then also go to fill the bank and tax forms. So these are the competencies that are available for partners for this fiscal year. There are two levels, either silver or gold. There's one that is somehow, it can be said to be free in one way, which is a small and medium market cloud solution competency. For this one, you only need to sell to Office 365 to 4 customers in the past 12 months to attain this competency. And then you have to pay for the silver competency. I believe it's $1,700 to get that competency, and then start earning rebates that we will see in the next slides. For the other competencies, as Maria said, also you can have one or many of them, but those generally needs more work from you, not only selling products, but also certifying people from your team. Generally, a silver certification requires to certify 2 people, 2 engineers, and for the gold one, you need to certify 4 persons in your team. And one thing that was added in early this year, because in the past years, the rebates that you were earning or the incentives that you were earning were 100% rebates. Microsoft has splitted them since January 1st. Now, if you earn $10, 6 of those dollars will go as rebate, and 4 of them, 40%, will go as co-op. What is co-op? Co-op is marketing funds that Microsoft gives you, or this kind of virtual funds that you need to use to develop your market, to launch activities, just like this one that we are doing now. You can launch a webinar, maybe some speak with your internal people or some readiness, and those readiness and marketing activities will be funded by these co-op funds that you earn. So just that money will be sitting there for you for the next fiscal, for the next half or next half, of course, to be used. So what are the rebates? What are the incentives structure for this next quarter and the other ones? They are splitted, as you see, on various products. First is Azure. So you'll be earning 4% on Azure for what your customer is currently using per month. As you earn 4% of his monthly consumption. Modern work and security product like M365, Office 365, they will be giving you 4%. Business applications like Dynamics, you'll be getting 4.5%. There's CSP customer ad accelerators that I will show in the next slide that were added. Those are generally what we call additional accelerators from what you're already earning. So any accelerator is on top of the core. And we see how much you can earn later on. And then you have some other products, of course, that are not somehow available in our region, the global PSTN. Of course, you can earn more than 20%, but there are some restrictions about the solution availability per region. Okay, this is what we call a global accelerator. That is, as we saw in the first slide, if, for instance, you sign with someone on MC3 you're getting 4%, and then if it is a new customer or a customer ad, you're getting additional 2% on that. So it will be 6% that you'll be getting. These slides were for the FY20, and they are the same one for this fiscal year. So there was no change. So the global accelerator products are for MC3, E3, E5 business. So that you can get more than 6% on that. That is quite a differentiator in your approach when you come in to compete with some customers, some of the resellers, or some of your colleagues. So you can use those funds or those rebates to, of course, set prices, but also to increase your margin. And then the three clouds, what I was saying earlier before, one of them is like Azure. Once you add a new Azure customer, if that Azure customer consumes more than $1,000 for the first month, you'll be earning $5,000 on top of the 4% that you are already earning. Okay. And that's quite the same also for Dynamics 365. For Dynamics 365, you'll be earning 20% of annual customer value if the customer achieves $1,000. In fact, you can ask any question if there's need more explanation. And then there's also modern commerce incentive that was added last year. That's also for Azure. As I said, you have the 4% core as an indirect reseller, and then you also have 10% based on Azure reservation that the customer is earning. But modern commerce incentives are only available for active gold membership in the cloud platform's competency. So not all partners have access to that incentives. You need to be gold in cloud platform competency. So that one is also starting on October in 2 weeks' time. So that's, I went through those eligibility earlier before. Of course, you need to be selling. Your complete bank and tax profile should have been already completed on Microsoft Partners Center before you can earn incentives. If there are not, Microsoft will not pay you, and payments are generally done by wire transfer. So they need that. Why they need your bank and tax profile, because also there's some vetting that's going on before your account is being certified. Of course, those are also other requirements that you need to fulfill. And then the payment schedules, generally now it's monthly. So 45 days after earning, you'll be receiving the funds by wire transfer. And then all those incentives less than $200 are not paid back by Microsoft. So you need to earn more than $200 to get your incentives. So these are lists of some resources that are available for you that we will also be sharing. So if there's any question, I'm keen to reply to them.
Hi, Gabriel.
Hi, Dario.
Does it mean that you can have any competency to start earning rebates? So you could have like an Azure competency, but you sell Microsoft 365, and that would make you eligible for the Microsoft 365 rebates?
Yes, once you achieve one of the rebates, one of the competency required, one of the 12, you start earning rebates for all the products, all the CSP products that you are selling.
Okay.
So if there's any other question, I'll switch to Shalini for the next.
All right, no further questions. So please, Arun, our next presenter.
Hi guys, I'm Arun. I'll be presenting a bit on Azure today. So just let me know when you can see my screen. Okay. Is it okay for everyone?
Yes, Arun, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect, guys. So, hi guys, I'm Arun. I have joined the MC3 Cloud as a cloud architect. I will be going briefly with you on some of the things that you can do on Azure, as well as I'm not going to go into what is cloud computing. I believe that is already explained by my colleagues earlier, as well as this is something more of a, let's say, KB-based topic now. And there are plenty of resources that we will be able to provide you on that. So let's just get started. This is the basic slide. Obviously, with Microsoft Azure, one of the things that we are leveraging currently is the latency that you have towards Azure and the power of the platform that Microsoft is giving to you compared to the other cloud vendors that are out there. Obviously, Microsoft Azure is a big marketplace, so it becomes a bit confusing for some of the partners to see where to start. What is the first thing that we can do? How to sell Azure? What should be the first and foremost product? Because there is so many, the marketplace is huge. So let me just start with where to start. So guys, this is just the generic stuff compared to a traditional data center. You can have almost the same services as at your disposal, be it for computing, be it for apps, be it for websites, mobile development, and so on and so forth. Now, first and foremost thing, backup. So again, I will leverage directly on South Africa itself. Okay, because South Africa is the nearest data center. It is true. It is a little bit more, let's say, in terms of cost, but that cost can be negated by the benefits that you will have while provisioning towards South Africa, because we are talking for partners who are actually nearest to the region, so will be their customers. Definitely, you can leverage other regional data centers as well. Just to give you an idea of the costing, the cheapest one you have is obviously in US, because that is a mature data center that they have. They have been using for quite some time and some years now. And then second one, you will have European data centers. I usually personally go with the France Central. It is in terms of costing, let's say around 10 to 15% cheaper than the African data center. But the latency again is quite high from where I see in terms of latency towards South Africa data center. It is fully operational for compute and other services, and even for WVD, which is like the hot selling thing right now, but we are not going to talk about WVD currently. Feel free to give us a mail and if you want to know more about WVD. So backup. Currently or traditionally, the backup for your on-prem services for your clients, you were doing with third-party softwares or your normal Windows Server backup, and ultimately you will be doing a disk rotation. You will be managing the backups manually, in the sense, or using a software and then recovering into the media. Again, that on its own has its own cost for media, cost for the software itself, as well as there will be someone you will need to keep in terms of monitoring that if the backups are going well, if there is a, let's say, need to restore. Sometimes it does happen that after a certain period of time, the traditional disk either, again, it's a risk factor of the physical media itself, the media can fail. If one media fails and there was a backup of only 2 days ago on the media, the second media that is available, it becomes a little bit difficult to have loss of data for almost 2 days or even for some hours. So data is critical and data is the king. So guys, I'm hearing some echo. So if someone is putting their mic on, please turn it off. So yes, how do you do the backup? There are quite a few options available. You could do backup using Azure Backup. So just to align myself, I will talk about only these three things here. Okay, one is the Azure backup, which will be backup of your VMs either in Azure or on-prem, as well as backup of your SQL servers. The second one is disaster recovery backup, which is done using Azure Site Recovery. If you guys have not done ASR or disaster recovery as a service, this is something quite interesting and should be, let's say, if not your top, should be in your second list of priorities for yourself as well as for your clients. Now, the third one is the compute and the VM. What are the services that you can be running for your clients in Azure? What are the models that are available that you can leverage to reduce or even to optimize the costs? Because one of the factors that comes in lots of partners' mind is that, Azure is quite expensive. There are variable factors. Yes, true, there are some variable factors, but those factors can be eliminated if the sizing of the solution is done correctly. If you take the advice of, let's say, even Microsoft or from your indirect providers, they do have resources, technical resources that you can leverage. Even with us, we have a full team which will be able to size the solution for you. We will be able to provide you more accurate costings and estimates from Azure. So you can have a peace of mind with us that when you move towards Azure, we will be accompanying you for all these solutions as well as all the dependent and variables that come along with Microsoft Azure. Now, I have a small overview video which will give you a brief idea about what is Azure Backup, how it works, and why is it necessary. So it's a small video of 2 minutes. Guys, can anyone give me a feedback if you're able to hear me? Hear the video actually.
Not getting the sound. Not getting the sound.
Okay, just give me 1 second, guys. This is quite necessary, so I'll take a break for this. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in and talk as well. No issues. I'll answer it right away. Open your microphone. I will actually project from your microphone. Okay.
Even a redundant storage won't protect you from data loss caused by ransomware or human error. You'll try to take advantage of your legacy backup solution.
So guys, I will be sending you the link to these videos. Okay, I will just share them in the chat shortly. Okay, so feel free. It's a small video of 1 or 2 minutes. Now moving on, the server backups. So guys, all basically in all the data centers of your client, be it physical server, be it VM, okay, you can leverage the backup solution that is offered by Azure. Okay, it has fixed costs. As long as you know the size of the data, you can even choose for how long do you want to have the backup points. You can even have multiple restore points in a day, as well as let's say if you want to keep for 6 months, you want to have a retention for 1 year, so even more than 1 year. So as your client's data grows, so will Azure backup. Now let me give you a small scenario that for example, one of the users who left the organization deleted a file, let's say 8 months back. Okay, and now obviously no one was using that file, and they realized it after 8 months that, you know, guys, we are missing a file. So in a traditional scenario, if you have to go into the hard drive, maybe the data churn or the data change rate of the client is quite high. So you will need to go and invest at least minimum 5 to 6 hours to go and look for that file, because the client says, well, the file was there 6 months ago, but now we don't know where it is. So guys, you are our IT, get us the file that we need. So in this scenario, if with Azure, you will be able to go at any point of time on retention period. Let's say you already know the window under which the employee has left, or there is a weekly window that you have. You can just, let's say, mount the disk, the full disk of the client onto the cloud or onto their on-prem server from Azure directly. Encrypted storage, fully secure, and you will be able to browse it as if it was a network server or network disk that was attached to the client PC or to the client server. So Azure Backup is not just for the server, it can be used even with Windows 10 devices as well. Okay, so again, this is based on, let's say, the easy part where you need to start. Even for SQL Server, Azure Backup supports application-aware backups. Okay, so if you have a SQL Server, you don't want to write a lengthy script. Okay, it could be a SQL Server Enterprise Standard, or it could be even a SQL Server Express Edition. So even for that case, if you want to manage those backup, have the backup of that SQL Server, those database files in real time, okay, every day done automatically, Azure Backup should be your first choice. And on top of that, you also have, for when it comes to SQL backup specifically, it can be a bit tricky if you do not have your maintenance plans or maintenance window configured. And there are certain cases on-prem, if the patching is not done correctly, the database files, MDF, LDF, they do become corrupt. So once you have that Azure backup in place, you can give your client the peace of mind that, guys, the servers, everything is being backed up automatically. And if ever something does not back up, you have alerts, automatic alerts that come to your email that, guys, so-and-so server was not backed up, and please look into it. It will remain in an alert state every time the backup schedule kicks into place. And again, there is no hardware costs. The costs are very predictable when it comes to Azure backup. Moving on, again, this is SQL Server. You can back up SQL Server with be it on-prem server SQL, or be it VM in Azure itself, or any other cloud as well. So don't think that Azure Backup is something that only works with on-prem and its own cloud. You can use Azure Backup as long as there is a Windows environment that supports it. Now, just to give you a small idea, Azure Database as a Service is also available in Microsoft Azure. So there are certain plans that are free up to 2 GB. Okay, you will be able to use Azure SQL database, SQL servers without paying any complicated licensing costs associated to it. You can just choose to bring your database or create a new database directly in Azure. You will have a global URL which you can actually let's say connect your management studio directly, have your service running directly into the data center. No need to pay a long licensing fee. no user calls, and all those required, because this is a SaaS service that is being offered. Again, if you guys have smaller systems which are, or even higher systems which are using SQL, it is definitely good. Let's say it will be very interesting for you guys to look at SQL database as a service on Azure. Now, one of the last things that I'm going to talk about, and which is quite critical, is that what is your disaster recovery plan for the client? See, usually you will have to have a secondary site. You will have to store it at least 4 to 6 kilometers away. That is the minimum requirement for it to classify as a DR site. And then again, you could have your own servers. Let's say you as IT provider have the client has another server which they are running as a backup, in the sense that there is a real-time replication being done. You are using third-party softwares to do that, and the costs of maintaining a primary site and a disaster recovery site of physical ones is actually quite high in terms of maintenance, in terms of man hours, okay, as well as sometimes the time to restore back the service, the RTOs, the RPOs, which is recovery time objective and recovery point objective, which are quite high with a traditional solution if you do not have a very high bandwidth line, okay. As well as, on its own, there is electricity consumption, internet consumption, and also IT hours that will go into if ever a DR kicks into place. Now, and also you don't forget there will be licensing costs for any DR solution if you are keeping it in real time in a secondary site. Now, again, this is a video, guys. I'm sorry for that. There will not be any sound. Just to go through it very briefly, I will fast forward it quickly. Do you guys have any questions currently?
Yeah, we have a question for Microtext. So, will Azure Backup Agent pick up SQL data from SQL Express version directly?
Guys, yes, Azure Backup will be able to take the backup of the SQL, but then again, Azure Backup is a, let's say, application aware. So it will be able to, without causing a corruption of data, take the MDF, LDF files, okay, from the on-prem workload and put it onto the storage account. So Azure Backup works with the storage account. Actually, it works with the recovery vault, okay, where all the data is stored in an encrypted manner. And yes, you will be able to recover your MDF and LDF files with Azure Backup. So just any other questions before I move on?
No questions.
Okay. So yes, how it all works out together is there is storage, there is backup, there is disaster recovery. Start with the storage, because the backup and the DR solution are actually both based out of storage. Azure has storage that can be scaled from some megabytes to hundreds of terabytes. So when you think about if you had to back up, let's say a 5 terabyte, 10 terabyte of data on-prem, you will be looking at costs of NAS, SAN, and then the redundant disks. Oh, let's say backing up the NAS and the SAN. So the typical scenario when it comes to a backup is having the 3 copies at all point of time. 3 to 1 is the magic number when it comes to the backup. So Azure data is already on, at least on that data center, there's already 3 copies available. Okay, for any point of time, if a server fails where your data is hosted, there's already 2 other copies that are being kept. You don't pay for, let's say, for the local redundant, you do pay for GRS, which is geo redundant. If you want your data from let's say, a secondary location from, let's say, South Africa North into, let's say, Europe, you can have a geo redundant let's say tomorrow, if ever a data center, the whole region has an outage. So again, it depends on client to client basis. If the client wants to reduce costs, he just wants to have that 1 copy and that 1 piece of mind that, okay, there is a copy for his data on cloud at all point of time, then yes. But there are options if client says, okay, what if the whole South Africa region goes down? What solution do you have? There is a single, you can configure the backup to be available in more than 1 region. That is, let's say, available in Azure Backup as well as Azure Site Recovery. Now, guys, secondary locations can be defined. You could choose the cheaper location if you want. Okay, again, that is up to you. Most of the cases, there has been not severe outages on Azure. Again, we do have SLAs on premium storages, which obviously gives you a more reliable service when it comes to a disaster recovery as well as backup. Now, in disaster recovery, let me just simplify it for you when it comes to Azure Site Recovery, because lots of people think that, implementing a DR solution on cloud or on-prem itself is actually a very difficult and, will take a number of days and hours, and, it's too complex. Guys, it is not complex at all. Okay, believe me, we have recently enabled one partner to do the ASR for at least 10 VMs from the single location with obviously there is one factor that needs to be taken into consideration is firstly, not all Windows Server versions are compatible with the ASR. Okay, you need to be on specific version of Windows to be able to back them up as disks. So how it works is that the ASR server agent will actually replicate your disks into Azure, and they will be stored as unmanaged disks. Now, you will not incur any charges for compute at that stage, because these will be completely still only on storage. They will be disks, just like as if you have taken a physical data center backup and put it in a, let's say, in a fireproof safe. Okay. And then only when a disaster happens, then you will have those additional man hours. You will plug the hard drive. You will try to restore the backup files and all of those things. So for Azure, it's simple. Your disks, backup disks are there. Okay, unmanaged disk. You can do a single click and you can have your client server running within minutes on Azure. Okay, depending again, when was the last replication done? There is a delta that you can define. Obviously, the first backup when all the data moves into Azure storage account will be quite, let's say, depending on how much data they have, could be a little bit significant. But after that, it is only incremental. That means once you have made a very good plan for the client, when he moves, when you propose him disaster recovery, you tell them, okay, for these weekends, let's say, or for these hours, after hours, we will put these VMs to synchronize with Azure. And for these VMs, because the data is quite high, and if the client is expecting any, let's say, impact on his internet line, because it will consume a bit of bandwidth, and so it might have an impact while doing a disaster recovery for the first time, the initial backup. So I will recommend you guys to take that into consideration when you start this. In terms of getting the costs of disaster recovery, yes, it is always as a matter of good practice to actually tell the client how much it will cost if let's say you have to turn on those disks, those backups, and make them real virtual machines. Then they will have a cost per hourly cost, and these costs definitely can be calculated. But again, these are variable costs. Once the primary site comes in, you can sync the system back and turn the VM off and destroy that VM. You can still keep that. Obviously, you will still have the ASR service running from the on-prem and replicating back into the cloud. Obviously, there are lots of data center that are available. Microsoft is expanding and has put a huge amount of resources, not just for in terms of data services, even your compute, you have your AI, you have your automation, you have your IoTs that are upcoming. So again, depends on what you are looking for specifically in Azure. Azure will be your marketplace, which can serve all your needs. Even for managing all those backups, you can even put a small virtual machine into Azure, install, let's say, a management console. You can have a dedicated machine to manage all your Azure backup as well. If it's a very big infrastructure, okay, it can be managed from a single console. You can have those agents configured into all the client VMs, and you can have a centralized dashboard for all your backups. And that too not dependent on the client VM. You don't require to use the resources of the data center that is available at the client. So you need, if you want to manage all your backups in cloud, yes, it is possible. Now guys, just to not to complicate things, think of Azure as an extension of the data center. You do not need to invest in the resources in terms of buying any physical hardware and investing so much thousands of dollars actually and so many man hours to install complicated licensing mechanism that you will have to go through open license or things like that. Yes, licensing in Azure could be something that we can help you optimize. Okay, same one thing to tell you guys, if the client has invested in, let's say, open licenses at one point of time for their on-prem solutions, they will, if they are thinking that, okay guys, we are thinking of moving to the cloud, okay, that same licensing, until unless it is accompanied by software assurance, they will not be able to use those licenses. Okay, so licensing is actually quite a major part when it comes to virtual machines in Azure. So this is something you can discuss with Anesh, you can discuss with anyone in our team. Robert is there. They will be able to guide you when it comes to the licensing, what kind of licensing that you should keep, licensing costs that you should make your clients aware about once you get to know it. Now, just a small overview. This is a preview of the Azure portal. You have a marketplace where you can even buy firewall services, even from, let's say, ISVs, which have, let's say, they want to give, they have a payroll solution. Okay, they have some other customer relationship CRM solutions that are available from different partners all around the world. They are available in the marketplace. Okay, so again, anything in, there are certain resources that are free in the marketplace, but there is cost to rest of them. Okay, so again, if you are planning to take something from the marketplace, it is good to go through your partner, ask them if you are planning to take these services, is there any cost associated with it, or is there any dependencies that you need to cater for. Yes, you have, if you want to start, one of the good things, let's say you might experience currently, is that your team does not have the skills. Okay, your teams have not dealt with Azure, what Azure is all about, how do I go about it. Microsoft Learn is actually one of the resources that we ourselves have used as well to get certified, to know what the product is and how to deploy things. So you see here, one learning path is called Azure Fundamentals. This is something, there is lots of video resources available there. I will share these resources with you guys at the end of the session. Shalini will also send you the slides at the end of the whole event. And these are all free. Microsoft is enabling you to actually go, learn, and practice, and then propose the solutions to the client. Again, talk to the partners. Once you talk, definitely there will be a solution that we will be able to come with you guys. Okay, we can even come to, let's say, even virtual meetings with you and see how we can help you and the end customer to actually become come on the cloud. And obviously, not everything, depending upon what the client has, we will be able to advise you. It doesn't really has to be a very complicated solution. It could be something as simple as Azure backup. Now, there are certain things that are available for free. This is what is offered from Microsoft, free of charge. Okay. However, it does require you to put a credit card on file, but that credit card is not charged. Okay. And one of the things that Shalini and Anish have something very exciting at the end of the session that they will share with you. So keep online, and you will receive some benefit of attending the webinar and the event today. Again, these are the URLs which will be shared, and the learning path is there. What is Azure portal? Where do we go and sign up for it? All is there. Guys, let me know any questions you have. I have not forgotten. I need to share the videos. I will just share in the chat.
So thank you, Arun. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you team for this insightful presentation. And actually we have an incentive running currently on our platform for all those who are registering with us. We are giving $100 as credit on your first account. So please reach out to our team for more information, and stay tuned on our LinkedIn page for our upcoming webinars. So if you guys have any questions, we are looking forward to answer them. Oh, actually, we next time, Suraj, we will have an e-cocktail for you. Okay, so no questions. Thanks for joining us today, and see you later. Thanks a lot.